Will the political pendulum between Democrats and Republicans stop swinging like a wrecking ball? It's as scary as it is fascinating to see how we have been switching so erratically between Democrat and Republican presidents these past couple of election cycles. It's beyond a simple tug of war between liberalism and conservatism. It's becoming an outright battle between the left and right extremes, with Trump's presidency being a lurch towards the right in response to the Obama administration's lurch towards the left after George W. Bush's presidency. We're clearly overcorrecting by electing Joe Biden, who can barely stitch a sentence together that isn't on a teleprompter 2 feet away from him just because anything was better than Trump. And this is why I've drawn the Democrat donkey as the one who is currently guiding the pendulum swing, with the Republican elephant riding scared. But this little mouse represents the American people, because he's got no choice but to go with the ride, peering through a spyglass telescope, wondering what the hell the future will bring. And I feel like that little mouse sometimes. So small and insignificant in comparison to the power players that shape our future. Especially considering I could never run for president since I wasn't born in this country. But even if I was, I know I'm not presidential material. But neither are the majority of Americans, which is why so many of us tend to be at the mercy of not only those who are genuinely qualified to be president, but those who will shamelessly go for the power grab. After all, fortune favors the bold, and it's amazing what leaders can get away with once they acquire power. And it's not that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's that the majority of people who seek power are usually corrupt to begin with. For the most part, they tend to be disingenuous, opportunistic narcissists. And just like we're not all created equally in terms of IQ or ambition, we're clearly not all naturally liberal or conservative. And even among liberals and conservatives, not everyone is equally liberal or conservative. All of us tend to fall within a range of the political compass between liberal or conservative or authoritarian or libertarian. And while it's impossible to get everyone to stick to one quadrant or the other, especially on any polarizing issues such as abortion or the Second Amendment, it's a shame that we can't find more agreement on some of the proven solutions to the everyday problems that affect us all. For example, when it comes to the abusively overpriced cost of healthcare in this country, we already know what the solutions are. And it's not free healthcare, since nothing in this life is free. And it doesn't matter if politicians like Bernie Sanders keep framing it as, is healthcare a right or not? That's not going to magically materialize the inordinate cost of healthcare. That's why the solutions that we do know that are proven to work are, number one, more competition among private insurance companies. Yeah, nobody likes private health insurance companies, but they're some of the best ways of mitigating that impossible cost that you're just not going to get away from. Solution number two is getting the federal government to do a much better job at negotiating drug prices with pharmaceutical companies when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid. Solution number three, price transparency when it comes to healthcare providers and hospitals. And solution number four, tort reform to avoid all the unnecessary lawsuits that drive up the cost of health insurance for everyone. These are some of the major obstacles that can be easily dealt with because they aren't immutable laws of physics like gravity. These are clearly man-made laws and regulations. But once you follow the money trail, you realize these problems persist because they enrich and empower a few people at the cost of millions of Americans. And this is why even some of the most supposedly socialist politicians, like Bernie Sanders and AOC, manage to become millionaires by being in public office. And considering this is a midterm election year, depending on how much further the left pushes predictably ruinous ideas like defunding the police, that might determine how many of these opportunistic hypocrites will finally get voted out of office. But will extreme left-wing politicians like AOC get replaced by equally extreme right-wing politicians that can be just as divisive and ultimately destructive? All I can hope is that more people do their research when it comes to electing the best candidates for these midterms. And I hope that somehow there will be a collective awakening and maturity for 2024, and that more people realize we can do a much better job than Trump 2.0 the next time around. But after the disaster that was the January 6th storming of the Capitol in 2021, and the hundreds of Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots that preceded it in 2020 over a demonstrably false narrative. I wonder where the pendulum will swing next, considering the selective and collective memory of hardline lefties and right-wingers. Will it swing too wildly to the right, or will it swing even further to the left? And can we really handle either extreme? Either way, I'll hold on for dear life with my little spyglass telescope in hand as I scout the safest landing spot when it comes time to jump off. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out the links down below for any of my original artwork or merchandising that I have for sale to monetarily support this channel. And thanks for watching.